Now, I have the pleasure of introducing the real star tonight. And I don't have her bio in front of me, so if you want to find that, that's kelkbpoetry.com, I think. And so you can check that out and read that whole bio there. But what I'd like to say is Kelsey is a phenomenal poet who dances in between the stage and the page in a way that is really admirable. So if you're a poet or a person who likes poetry, but you're like, I only read poetry books, she's got you, right? If you're like, I actually like this kind of thing, where it's engaging and da-da-da-da-da, my favorite kind, then she also has you covered there. She has so much talent, and she's inspired so many poets. She runs the Des Moines Poetry Workshop, so if you are a poet and you're looking to connect with other poets and have your work looked at and critiqued, then there's a space for that. And she can tell you what dates those are, because I don't know that fact. But she does that, so she is fostering this space for poetry here in Des Moines that is really beautiful, as well as traveling across the country to do this poetry and share that, there are poets in Iowa who are still doing some pretty cool stuff. And so, if you would please give me the biggest round of applause for Kelsey. Come on out.
Even I'm taller?
Hi.
Yo!
My name's Kelsey. Sorry. I'm gonna start that over. This is a poem. There's feedback. Hi. Okay. Hi. My name's Kelsey. I'm 5'3", a mediocre yogi, and have only met one person paler than me. All of that rhymed, and it was only 3/4 intentional. I live with depression and PTSD, so I often hide behind weighted blankets and free-form poetry. I like driving without a destination and meeting new dogs, though I prefer cats in my home. I think this is because my childhood was nomadic with a bark that wouldn't quit. I will share more on the mic than my family would like, but helping others feel understood is what brought me to the stage.
Come on.
I love a good Greek salad, but I don't do olives. I barely do the feta. I like my coffee black and my bookshelves full. I'm oddly good at eating sloppy joes without being sloppy, probably from training myself to keep my messes hidden.
Oh.
I don't know a lot, but I know every line to Gilmore Girls, and that I have survived 100% of my worst days. I know that poetry is my ultimate metaphor as I choose which lines to break, which rhymes to make while I write my life into its own rhythm. Because I was a young girl in Chucks fighting sandpaper days and turning scrapes into poetry. I know that all of this has made me who I am here tonight. A young woman building marble years, a poetry career, and still wearing Chucks.
Hey.
So again, welcome to my birthday party. I need to make sure I keep tabs. I'm going to try and keep tabs on time. Hans, you just give me a signal when you're like, this is too long, okay? Also, can we give a huge shout out to Peachtree and Hans? Please tip your bartenders. Okay, so for those who don't know or haven't seen me perform, I often write through a lot of the heavy shit. I write through mental health and kind of processing childhood traumas that I had. And so this first half of this set is going to be the heavy shit. And so I'm just going to give kind of a blanket trigger warning right now that if there's anything that triggers anything inside of you or brings back anything painful, please take a step out. There's another bathroom back there. Go take a drink or go out to fresh air, bathroom, whatever. Take care of yourself and come back whenever you're ready. And then the second half is something that I've been doing a lot recently. As I've gotten to a healthier, safer, happy place in my life, I've been starting to process how I got myself to a better space in my life. And so I started writing the hopeful shit too. And so this is a little bit of a balancing act. So are you guys ready for a little balancing act?
Yeah!
All right. Start with the heavy shit. Let's go. Writing is the last thing I want to do. I don't really know why this is because writing is the only thing I need to do.
Ooh.
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that shedding a layer of my heart and molding it into words on a page for all to read means molding it into words on a page for all to read. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I have been actively shaping my self-esteem into a genuine mirror of a mastered smile, and everyone knows that a happy poem is almost always an oxymoron. Maybe it's because speaking the dissonance of my soul breaks the innocence I learned to portray and ruins the ignorant ears of those who think they know me. Like the ones who ask why a coffee snob like me hasn't had any coffee yet today and it's already 11 a.m. I say nothing and turn to my notebook and explain to the page that I haven't had coffee because I haven't had a full meal in a while, because I haven't had enough money for such a luxury, and so I drink water to ignore the rumbles and to say thank you to the years that I struggled with anorexia because they taught me how to fake my health. They taught me how to get through a day without fainting in order to get the body I thought I was supposed to want. A body that men would want to touch, not take, but they didn't take, they stole. They stole a body I grew to loathe, but then again I'm told to be grateful for the body that I'm in because the body that I'm in has so much built-in privilege it has become translucent. But the thing about being translucent is no one sees me, which means loneliness goes to bed with me and shape-shifts into the depression that is my body. I digress. This is why I avoid writing. Because only after reading my own words do I begin to sort trauma from struggle. And only after reading my own words do I realize I've got too much to write about. I usually preface that poem by saying this is a word vomit poem, bear with me, so thank you for bearing with me. This next piece is kind of a prime example of what Caleb was mentioning, is that I very much am equally page and stage, which means in my world that I started as a page poet. And for those who may not know, a page poet is what you would think when you're picking up a book of poetry to read. And that's what I started as. And 6 years ago when I moved to Des Moines, I found the Des Moines Poetry Slam and my poetry family. And I found the stage and I found a new way to present my stories and my poems. And so this next piece is on my album. So is the last one, and I didn't plug that.
Tell us about that album. What you talking about?
I feel actually ready to be mad at me. It's set up. So over there, I have a spoken word album called Depression Holders and Secret Keepers. I also have a book called Sprig of Lilac. Depression Holders and Secret Keepers deals a lot with the mental health. It's a few of these pieces that we're going to read tonight. And then Sprig of Lilac is a book dedicated to the grieving process. It's kind of the culmination of the first couple of years after my mom passed away while I was in college, and was how I dealt with the grief. And so those are both over there. I take cash card, Venmo, check if you want, all the things. Again, like Caleb said, you have no excuse. Unless you don't have the means, that's fine. We can talk. But yes, this next piece is on my album, and it lives equally as a page and stage poem. On the page, it is a heavily formatted thing. You wouldn't even want to read it out loud if you saw it. You want to read that anyway. But I also love the way it sounds out loud. So this is Learned Instinct. I have contorted myself enough to know how my neck and kneecaps should curl to take up as little space as a disappearing act allows. It's somewhere between question mark and whiskey pour spout. And by space, I mean existence. See, taking up space used to equate with being in the way. I know how to avoid mess and remove attention. And by mess, I mean existence. See, it's no crumbs on the plate to hide residue from judging eyes because those eyes only saw a flaw. I have learned to quiet, like mime, with helium in my heels and mute in my voice box to remain unheard because the herd always brought chaos, and by herd I mean the existing.
Whoa.
So I let closed doors and headphones become my bunker from the bellows and drywall holes, and by bellows I mean their existence. While blankets of unwashed shaking became depression holders and secret keepers that hid my car key forearms and question mark body, and by unwashed shaking, I mean the pitifulness I thought my existence was worth until I almost let it all go. Until I almost let it all go. I do like to give a specific trigger warning for this one. This one has become very cathartic for me, and so I enjoy sharing it, but I know that it is heavy. It is a PTSD poem, so if you feel anything or you need to take a second, you have plenty of options. I won't really notice or care, so we will welcome you back when you're ready. So this is Etch-a-Sketching Muscle Memory. The setting. I'm 28 at my favorite coffee house with my poetry family, reading a Humans of New York Facebook post. I'm triggered. I can still feel the edge of tables cracking against skin, hands branding me property I thought brothers were supposed to protect sisters. But my bones still vibrate in waves of crickets and bathtubs, trying to etch-a-sketch muscle memory that still holds on to her mother's stale basement couch, never fit for a child's bed. But you seemed to enjoy her corrupt walls and disowned me for not converting to her addictions. I try to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house, but chairs scrape the shop floor, my neck flinches to the side as my eyes burn with the ends of your cigarettes as your vodka removes my eyeliner. She spent every other court-mandated weekend proving herself party parent, and you fed into her box. Wrapped your callous fingers around my throat, deemed me unworthy of being sibling, and stopped saying goodbye each time I left. I tried to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house, but wind slams the shop doors, my shoulders tighten upright while the blood in my arms ignite with the end of your lighter as a hand touches mine and my eyes tighten around a freeze response. I try to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house. I hear blender, not bellow, laughter, not scream. The hand softens, and I dissolve to chosen family, bringing me back to our coffee house. All right. This next piece is kind of my transition into the other stuff. And I say that because it is a little bit of both. It's a little heavy, a little hopeful. This piece came from a conversation I had with my therapist. I've told her that she inspired many a poem, and this is one that she was like, really? Okay. We were talking about the word disrupt. And she asked what it means to me, and I was like, oh, we are not. We're not going to unpack that. And she's like, no, we will. And she said, well, what would a positive disruption look like to you? And I was like, the hell is that? What is a positive disruption?
Is it possible?
Is it possible? No idea. And that inspired this poem. Yeah. I have an unhealthy relationship with the word disrupt. Verb, used with an object, definition, to cause disorder or turmoil. I think this is because the disruptive damaged my childhood into disorder. Disrupt. Verb, often used with an object like a wooden chair in the air from a broken man behind his curtains. I mean the object of a sentence. Definition, to cause disorder or turmoil, like learning to gulp back cry sounds on the shoulder of my pillow so as not to disturb the disruption at the end of the hallway. Disrupt. Verb, used with an object like the brick a broken boy threw at the neighbor in the second floor window. I mean the object of a sentence. Definition, to cause disorder or turmoil, like learning to avoid turbulent turmoil through muteness and compliance. I have an unhealthy relationship with the word disrupt. Verb, used with an object of a sentence. Definition, to break apart or radically change. I didn't know radical change until I was 28, when I learned I never correctly named it. Learned positive disruption can look like running to a life in minivans and basements, like growing in worn-down shoes in new cities, like projecting my voice to people willing to listen, like writing this poem when all I ever knew was disrupt.
Tell them,
right, are we ready for the hopeful shit now?
Yeah.
All right, so it's just 3 more poems that I've got for you. I have no idea what time it is, I'm not checking.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, we're fine, we're here. Are we with you? We're good? All right. So, like I said, something I've started doing is starting to write the hopeful stuff and kind of processing how I moved myself to a better place in life. And as you can tell, I went through a lot of heavy shit, and we've only scratched the surface, but this would become therapy if we dove too far. So, through all of that, I had this, let's say, friend who got me through all of it, quite literally. And it took me a long time, but I was finally able to write a poem to my minivan. This is Ode to Sylvester. Let your minivan hug you from the head.
Really?
The motorcycle, that's not what Sylvester sounded like. All right.
Hey,
We're going to do that again.
Hey, you talk about
You know,
Sylvester
honestly,
again?
some days that's what Sylvester sounded like. And he should have. So,
Oh my God. Does it start? Does it?
all right, we're going to do this. All right. Ode to Sylvester. Let your minivan hug you through the heavy. He will store your history and carry you to a new town until you find a park far enough away. He will let you breathe and scream and sing and hit his steering wheel. He will do this over and over while you find home at his doors and take your shoes off and rest your feet on his floors. Roll his windows down. He will show you the power of a wind revival. How spring breathes for you and beckons you to its grass. Open his door and run barefoot through your new chains. He will be there waiting for you when it's time for your next rap, for the change you both know you're ready for. Let his speakers sing you down the highway to the next state over. He will have many breakdowns, but he will hold you through yours. He has this way of getting you exactly where you didn't expect, of cleaning the windshield in time to see your new view. And someday, after he's lived his last life, you will find yourself surrounded by city glow and falling snow. He got you to the place where you now carry your notebook to coffee shops and martini bars, the place where you laid him to rest in a ramp while you explored a life he wanted for you. You will marvel at the way a van taught you that a city and a decision can change courses, that views and stories can heal heaviness. You will realize he was the vehicle for your past self to fight for the better version you're walking in now. I lied, I had 4, this is now 3. What is this?
All right, keep going.
All right, so I had this time where I was writing odes to inanimate things, the van being the first one. And by inanimate things, I mean the places that I think I started recognizing myself and finding my own home. And so this next piece is one that was kind of an ode to my first studio apartment when I first moved to Des Moines, as well as my mirror. This is called Mirror Be Magic. Hold on, I need a drink. I've been talking a lot, my throat's dry. Just having a great time out there. All right. Mirror Be Magic. This one's not nearly as memorized, so I apologize. I spent decades living what I believed they expected, of wishing my reflection would suddenly feel familiar, but it was never my mirror to begin with. I spent years biking to the empty elementary school field, growing a pseudo-love of expression in isolation, and that is what drove me into my packed-up van to put the place I knew in my rear view to find my reflection. I moved myself to a place where the mirror was harsher and screaming for Windex, but it was mine. My lonely view of the city, my mattress on the studio floor, my books outnumbering reflections. I moved myself to clothes-covered floor and shoe-piled doorway, to book-stacked windowsill and dish-full counter, to a studio that taught me to be real, like poetry. It also taught me I will never be a morning person, but it always had coffee. The studio hugged away my scar arms and taught me to take up space. It taught me to survive loneliness by counting lights from the rooftop and blurring them into one large stepping stone. It taught me to fill my pages with raw ink, finding my why through metaphors and rouleau. And my mirror still needs a frame and Windex. But at least it's my mirror. All right, I have 2 more poems for you. I'm making sure that I know that okay, this is here. This next piece is typically one that I end this set with, but I have a second one after that I'm excited to share with you all. This piece came from a moment of realization earlier this year. I was out walking around downtown and I realized there was nothing fundamentally wrong in my life anymore. And what do you do with that information? What now? You write a poem about it. This is called When the Map is No Longer Highlighted in Survival. What do I do after surviving a crosswalk I spent 29 years building as I crossed? After the snow has settled, the traffic has calmed, and the sun has waved me across the street, what do I do with these painted hands? They never learned how to hold, just to fold my feelings into my pocket as I helped others across. These concrete feet haven't learned how to beat their crust off just to fight off the weight of each year. What do I do when the construction is complete? How do I step on an unfamiliar sidewalk instead of sticking around to sit in my handiwork for a while? To admire the elbow grease I pushed for, to allow myself a release into the life I fought for. How do I walk on it? How do I know which road to follow when the map is no longer highlighted in survival? I'm learning. They call this a revival. And it's my turn to create the paths I discovered. I'm no longer taking cover or being pulled into the cracks, and I'm learning. The hard hat I crafted from my own back never actually fit me, just enough to look protected. I'm learning to remove it. Let my head feel sky again. Let my hair feel breeze again. I'm learning to let my feelings unfold, especially the good ones. Yeah. I'm told their names are relieved, peaceful, fulfilled, alive. I'm learning these feelings will live longer outside of my pocket. I'm learning my crosswalk meant I built a curbside safe enough to take my first step as I begin building sidewalks all my own. Ones that can hold the weight of the heavy and the hope. All right, I got one last poem here for you. I'm going to be honest, I should have had it pulled up. This is not professional of me. Wow. This is my job, so while I'm pulling this up. Again, Caleb and I have merch over there. This poem exists somewhere. Okay. You can buy our books, our albums, Caleb's cute sweatshirts and t-shirts. We both have stickers, the whole thing. Come support us. And also, please follow Ashton and Anna and myself and Caleb. Give all of us some love. These are true. Okay, before I get into my last piece, let me just. I am very big on chosen family, for obvious reasons. And for me, celebrating turning 30 is a huge deal. This is a decade I didn't think I would ever see. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the people that I have shared this stage with and several others who are here tonight and who are not here tonight. So many people in, weirdly enough, Iowa of all places. I'm not from here, so this is like weird that I landed in Iowa. But I wouldn't still be here if it weren't for so many people who helped me get here, and I'm so thankful. So please show everybody love. Go find the Des Moines Poetry Slam, Des Moines Poetry Workshop. Oh yeah, that was what I was supposed to plug. Des Moines Poetry Workshop. If you are a poet and you are interested, you can just look up Des Moines Poetry Workshop. We're pretty easy to find. Our next critique group is tomorrow morning, bright and early, 10 a.m. at Smoky Row. It's not bright and early. 10 a.m. to noon at Smoky Row. You can find all the details online. It's a whole thing. We also have writing nights. Come find us. Anyway, I'm very...
Hey, what's
yeah.
tomorrow?
tomorrow night?
Tomorrow morning, workshop.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry, that's
That is
why.
on my calendar. Thanks, Glenn. Tomorrow night is the open mic night. Poetry Unplugged is returning. Finally, at Flame Talk Books tomorrow night, 5 o'clock.
Yes, 5 to 7.
Yes, 5 to 7, Flame Talk Books. Come on out.
Be there.
That is a room full of chosen family for me as well, so come show some love. All right.
Room full of freaks.
Anyway, thank you all so much for celebrating my birthday with me. I've got one last poem for you. This is new shit. So
New shit!
that's a spoken word poet thing, and I'm sorry if you were just new to that. But anytime someone says I have new shit, then
New shit!
that's what happens. To the point that I don't even think you two have heard this. So new, and it is titled 30.
New shit.
Healing can look like tears sizzling in an egg pan as touch-starved loneliness seasons my breakfast. Then, resisting harmful habits by writing between bites. It can look like sobbing naked in a bathroom mirror, then collapsing on the shower floor and thinking to myself, at least I'm showering today. It can look like scraping at my nail polish instead of my forearms, and bruising my kneecaps from crying my fears onto the living room floor, then picking up my pen between breaths. Healing can look like laying in bed for 13 hours, clean and lonely, not wanting to tell anyone because I am supposed to be okay. But texting my best friend anyway because she has seen all parts of me and loves me through it, it looks like letting her love me through this. Then, scrolling my camera roll, remembering people love me even if they haven't talked to me in weeks. Healing can be painful in private when all of my triggers converge, giving me another night of 8 p.m. bedtime becoming 1 a.m. breakdown until my eyes finally give out and I sleep for a little while. It can look like getting rid of old prescriptions because the thought crossed my mind one too many times, and finally facing this poem because my people deserve to know. However, healing can also look like the decade-old lily plant from Mama's funeral finally flowering under my care. Then, experimenting with fresh recipes for fun, and my body embracing the new flavors. It can look like my usual table at my usual coffee shop, writing my thoughts as the fresh grounds cool enough to sink, and building consistency and calm for myself while holding my heart in a notebook. Healing can look like my left shoulder showing more color than my right because I've been driving my way through a summer of loving myself, and the driver's seat always gets more of the sunlight. It can look like letting my legs feel vitamin D for the first time in years while listening to jazz in the Sunset Park and remembering how I feel myself in the music. It can look like hoping one day I'll be the older lady who can't stay seated while everyone else is because the sway can't stay in one place. Healing is planning a celebration for my 3rd decade, the one I never thought I'd see and am now eager to ring in. Then, recognizing these thoughts mean I finally want to grow old.